Go ahead.
Good morning, Terp fans. This is TerpTalk Game Day. It's October 3rd. Big Ten season starts today. It's Michigan at the unexpected start time of noon. Oh, there's a lot of news about Maryland football. We're going to whip through it this morning. Along with me, we've got Bruce Posner. A little later in the show, Intern Mason. Freddie is off today. Bruce, I want to start with what has to be the topic of the week, and as it continues, is the public outcry over Randy Edsall after that really poor performance at West Virginia.
Well, we went through this on TerpTalk the other night, and I just find it absurd that at 2-2 in the middle of a season, before you play your first conference game, that people would want to make a change. And also, let's put it this way, they haven't played a conference game yet. Now, things look bleak in West Virginia. It was a big game, all right?
Yeah.
It was a big game. But as you saw with my blessed Baltimore Ravens the other night, one turnaround victory, albeit it was a miracle win, brightens the hopes of every fan that there is. To give up now on Randy at 2-2 with the plethora of guys he has coming in next year would just be, in my opinion, insane. All right, it's absurd and insane. And I'm a Randy guy. He's a friend, and that means a lot to me. And in no way, shape, or form would I make a move right now. Play out the season. Now, I've heard 6 wins in a bowl.
Right.
That's the standard. Okay. Well, we're 2-2. We haven't played a game yet.
Haven't played a
conference game yet.
And what a conference schedule it is.
It's a shame today. It really is. It's miserable weather. This was probably our highlight game of the year at Bird Stadium.
Yes, I have a few of those $90 tickets in my pocket for that highlight game.
Right.
Having trouble getting people who want to go out and brave the weather, although the weather, not so bad. My take on the Randy thing is he's done a lot of what the university asked as far as the grades, as far as the reputation of the program. The recruits seem to like him.
Ask Rick Pitino about that.
Well, as somebody pointed out to me, you're always one day away from a disaster, no matter how good your kids are doing. We'll get to that Rick Pitino thing later. I'm sure we'll get to it.
Sports Baby.
On the Sports Baby, which is on 1300 CBS Sports Radio. And if you want to listen to Sports Baby at 9 o'clock, go to TerpTalk.com and click on the Listen Live button. My take on the Randy thing is, out of the 22 wins, a lot of them came against either FCS schools, which was Division II, or teams with losing records. We keep coming out on these big games. I think today's a big game. It just doesn't go well for us. And we've got to fix that if you want to go on from here.
Well, from what I heard, from what I read, from what certain people told me, they had a great week of practice. All right. Apparently, this players-only meeting was in the positive, and the guys came out fighting the whole week, and they're ready to play today. Just a shame. Again, it's not a nighttime game. It's not. We won't have the big crowd there. Probably it'll be. I don't know how many people will be there in this weather.
Mason is off camera. Maryland sold all their tickets, right?
Yes.
So it's a sellout.
Yeah.
Virtually, okay.
Okay. And I saw last night on StubHub that the good tickets, what you call better tickets, are still $100, $120 a ticket. Do you have any idea how many tickets are available?
There were a lot on last night on StubHub and the app that I have called SeatGeek.
Right. Okay. Well, I think I don't want to focus the whole show on Randy Edsall, but my take is you got to win some games. You can do everything right, have the best GPA in the world. You got to win some games.
Well, he knows that. He knows that. He knows he's got to. He knows you can't lose 45-6 to West Virginia. And just like they remembered that onside kick when it was 37-zip, we won't forget, the fake punt at 38-0.
Well, I'm happy that
except we don't play him for 5 years.
Right. Next game's in 2020.
Is he here or there?
I'm going to have to go to my Wizard of College Park early today. We don't
look it up. It's probably our schedule's up.
We actually don't know. So I got the chance to go to Morgantown.
Oh, I forgot to ask. What'd you think? I described it pretty good, didn't I?
Yeah, they're really into football there. I had not been to Morgantown since 1990. Maryland won 14-10 that day. Barry Johnson caught a touchdown pass right in front of the Maryland section. That was the year Maryland went to the Poulin Weed Eater Independence Bowl. That was a nice trip, too. Fans are really into it. There's a video or post-game show that's up on TerpTalk.com as getting close to 700 hits on that. The big thing there was that Brad Paisley came out and sang "Take Me Home Country Roads." And for those who've asked, boy, that must have been a long trip home. No, the Maryland angst moment was actually at halftime when you were sitting there going, there's just, this game's done. We aren't playing hard. It looks like this game's over. By the time I got in the car, as you have said about other games, it's time to move on to next week. So it's Michigan week. What's your take on what Harbaugh and the khaki pants have done at Michigan?
Unbelievable. I got to give him ups. Just unbelievable. He opens up the season. Now, I watched that game intently against Utah, and Michigan threw a couple interceptions in the end zone, and it's a game they could have won. They made a tremendous comeback at the end.
Mhm.
And if I remember correctly, Jake Butt, all right, tight end.
Right. Big
Look
guy.
out. Guaranteed pro. Everybody's going to be fighting for this guy. He's unbelievable. He had a great game that day. And then you take a look at their next three games. Holy cow. Oregon State 35-7, UNLV 28-7, and then last week is the game that scares me. BYU 31-zip.
Well, we're good.
Not so much for the points differential, the fact that BYU didn't score. I mean, this was a rated team. I don't even know,
Well,
but they were rated.
Yeah, Mason will cover those numbers here in a minute. It's impressive because we played them last year, and they haven't had that great an infusion of talent who's on the field, and they look like a much more disciplined, much more active and physical team. So without further ado, why don't we bring in the newly named wizard of College Park and his numbers. Mace will be joining us here.
Here comes the wizard.
Here comes the wizard. So, wizard, it's a lovely hat you have. Let's go over what do you have for the numbers? Michigan comes in today. Well, what number do you have?
They are ranked 22nd.
22nd. Do you think that's the right ranking for them?
Yeah, because of last week only, pretty much. They just came out against a ranked team and they blew them out.
I got news for you. I think that ranking should be a little bit higher.
Should be
I really do.
So you thought BYU was an up-and-coming team. Why is that?
Well, Tanner Magnum had those two great Hail Mary passes against Nebraska and Lincoln, and then against a ranked Boise State team.
Right.
And a lot of people are just expecting that they were on the right track to a top 15 season.
Right. And then what was the score last week? They go to Michigan.
And Michigan wins the game 31-0.
That's pretty impressive. On the Michigan defense, I have 7 seniors, 3 juniors, and a sophomore. And those guys that's some physical football there. What's your next number?
Well, Michigan, Jake Rudock comes in with pass completion percentage of 62%. And he's 4 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. But that number, since the Utah game,
Right.
he's only thrown 2 interceptions and 3 touchdowns, and he has 2 running touchdowns since that game.
Okay. So now Jake played against Maryland last year.
Yeah, Jake Rudock played in that dual quarterback system at Iowa against Maryland last year. Iowa's quarterbacks, just in general, didn't look so good in that game, but Jim Harbaugh has much improved Jake Rudock.
Okay. Well, you got more numbers. What do you got next?
45.76% completion on third down.
Conversion on third down.
Yeah.
Well, Maryland's had some issues getting teams off the field. Last week, they gave up 601 yards. You did the postgame show with me. After Bowling Green, they gave up 600 yards. So Maryland's linebackers, you talked about Jake Butt. Coverage by the linebackers has not yet been where we'd like it.
No, none of the coverage, none of the secondary has. But, let's see what happens this week. The secondary's been a sore point since Sean Davis got torched against who was it? Bowling Green.
Bowling Green. Last week, Will Likely.
They're not going to. I'm going to tell you, in this kind of game, they're not going to come out really throwing the ball a ton. I know that they feel, if I know Harbaugh, they feel that they can impose their will on our team. And I believe they're going to come out and run, try and pound it down our throat, not worrying about how many points are scored, but try and put a lot of pressure on Caleb Rowe. And their defensive efforts the last 3 weeks, it scares me. There's no question about it.
Right.
All right, so to me, what's the most important part of this game? The first scripted series. All right, that's your best series always. And they have to come out in that scripted series.
Maryland
has to come out. And I would take the ball. We win the toss, take the ball. Don't let this team get on top of you because, it could go south.
Could go south.
15.5-point favorites for a road team is a lot, but it's not undoable.
No. All right, so you said running backs. Who are the stars in the backfield for Michigan?
Well, they have Devon Smith, and they just like to feed him the ball. And
right.
He has, I believe, somewhere around 300 yards this year.
He almost has 1,000 yards for his career at this point.
And last week, he just had a monster run against BYU that many say just put the game away.
Oh, is that the one where we ran to the line of scrimmage and we could find him and he
No,
really?
that was a Cincinnati run.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Devon Smith got out in the open field and he ran over a safety.
But he started out the same way as that Cincinnati run. He got in a scrum at the line of scrimmage, and then as Bruce gets the weather forecast for later.
No, I got a guest coming today, so.
All right, what's the next number you have?
27.8 points per game. Michigan comes out, and really they just want to, as Bruce said, pound the ball down your throat, and then they run play action passes to their big wide receivers and Jake Butt, and they'll just, at the end of the game, you're going to be out of gas, and they'll just pound some points on you.
Okay. Well, I think that's
Good summary.
Good summary. Okay. Well, you got the numbers today?
Yep.
He's out of numbers. Thank you, Wizard.
Good job, Wizard.
You will be back for the college whip around in a couple minutes. Okay. So that's it for our Wizard segment, and thanks to Freddie for helping to put that together. I need you were talking about the Sports Maven later. You got to give me 2 minutes here on TerpTalk Game Day about the Ravens and the Steelers, because you were going to read the Pittsburgh papers and get back to us. What'd you see in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette?
This is what I got from that. They are absolutely through with Mike Tomlin, which I can't believe.
Really?
They are, I read the Pittsburgh Post and I read all the comments, and the comments are usually negative. But we're not talking about little negative comments. We're talking about thesis. Right? Every person was writing a thesis on, and let's face it, Tomlin did not have a great day. Every call he made was weak, and every call that Harbaugh made almost was right. Even, I wasn't against the fake field goal. I thought that was a great call. And, I was surprised they gave it to somebody with not tremendous speed, all right, in Boyle.
Right.
But, wow, if he turned that corner, he's gone.
Okay. Well, the Ravens went for 3 or 4 times on fourth down if you count the field goal.
Right.
The fake field goal. They didn't make it. Pittsburgh ends up deciding not to use the kicker in a 56-yard kick and a 50-yard kick in overtime. They go for it. They don't make it. Harbaugh looks like a winner. Tomlin, similar circumstances, apparently looks like not a winner.
Well, I think Josh Scobie was the guy who's now a winner,
Right.
to be honest with you. And let's get to this game today. And Wayne, this is probably, I think we can easily say, the biggest game of Randy's career, all right, of his tenure here. And again, if they lose, I'm not calling for his head or anything.
Right.
I want to play out the season.
I actually agree with you. I don't think there's much to be served by changing a college coach in the middle of the year. And I still have some hopes for this recruiting class that we have with the Dwayne Haskins, Tino Ellis, apparently Shaquille Smith, one of the top linebackers in the country, has Maryland ranked first. He's going to make a decision later this year. Something has to be going right for all these top kids to still be saying they're Maryland Terps.
Listen, a good friend of mine, Mark Apple, you know Mark from Waldman and Grossfeld, one of my sponsors, but more than that, he's a very good friend. Once called me up when Danny O'Brien was in his height, and he made a great point. As long as you have a quarterback, as long as you have a good quarterback, you're always in the game. Look at Joe Flacco, if you want to look at a good quarterback. He's getting racked for not having a great game. He's throwing to Kamar Aiken. He's throwing to Waller, a rookie. He lost Steve Smith. Marlon Brown's dropping every ball.
Campanaro got hurt.
But you have the quarterback. And when you have the quarterback, the good quarterback can make it happen. Unfortunately, Randy has not had the good quarterback.
Well, he's not.
Right? And part of that's on him. And he
didn't recruit the quarterback.
He doesn't have the quarterback. Next year, he's got the quarterback. A great quarterback makes you look like a genius.
Would you start him flat out as a freshman? Obviously, he has to beat out the guys that are there.
No, I'd start the best guy, but I might bring him in a little bit slower. It's not a real race. But from what I hear and from what Cavanaugh and Dave LaMonaco and Scott Green tell us, all right, that there ain't no question he's going to start. He walks in as the best quarterback on the team.
Wizard?
What did he do last night? Did he play?
The game got changed to Thursday, then it didn't happen, so their game did get postponed.
And that's for Dwayne Haskins at Bullis. All right, so Bullis Prep. We went out there. That's where Mason's last spring.
Is that a private school?
Yeah, that's a nice. That looks like a small university. It's gorgeous. It's in Potomac. Mason played his last lacrosse tournament game in the spring there. They had the tournament at Bullis. All right, so BTN, as you said, this was a big night for us. There's no BTN show. There's no 8
Looking
o'clock
forward
game.
to seeing DiNardo and seeing everybody. By the way, the BTN crew, Wayne and myself, have had a chance to meet them quickly. But what great guys. I mean, they're just. And they sit there and they talk about Maryland effusively. They love them, what Maryland has done for the Big Ten. And we found that out at the Big Ten basketball tournament.
Right.
And by the way, what happens 2 weeks from today?
2 weeks from today is Midnight Madness at
That's
6 o'clock in College Park. And we're waving the guys behind the glass. Good morning, guys. All right, so we're still wearing our blackout thing. The new uniforms look even better. Under Armour does such a great job.
That helmet's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And we don't talk about uniforms anymore.
Well, you don't.
I've had about uniforms.
Terps in the news. Nick Novak, now Texan. Joe Volano got released by the Pats. And one nice note, even though he was a Steeler, Darius Haywood-Bay
He looked great. I felt great for him. Darius is a great guy. And do you follow Tori on Twitter?
Yes.
I was tweeting and following Tori, and Tori said, "That's my roommate, way to go, DHB." And the Baltimore fans got all over him. Wow. But they didn't realize that, it's like his best friend. But you got to feel, I didn't feel great for him because he was almost beat us. But you got to feel good for DHB. All right.
Yeah. Okay. So it's going down the segment. We got to talk about today's game. You mentioned Caleb in passing the 4 interceptions. I think we talked about it on Wednesday. And Maryland goes back to him because he's the guy they feel the best chance to win the game with. Dax got in. Wasn't overly impressive. I would take it that if you have to use.
Somebody's at the front door for me, if you can let him in. Go ahead.
If you're going to rely on the quarterback, as we talked, if you're going to try and throw the ball 40 times, it's not going to work. Maryland has to commit to being a physical running Big Ten team. Today's the day to do it. Do you think the horses are there?
I hope they're there. How's Michigan against the rush, Mason?
Well, that defense.
Swarming?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's we got some numbers here, but
somewhere, but we're not going to.
I don't have their defensive numbers handy.
Right.
But they got to run the ball. Even you saw with the Ravens, they run the ball, they win. But they have to run the ball. It's that simple.
Okay.
Do I think they can win? I'm not going to sit here and predict a victory because it'd be disingenuous, but
you got to stay in the game.
Right. You got to stay in the game, get to the fourth quarter. Hopefully, Brad Craddock can be a difference. He can be a big difference maker, and that would be their chance. I would think it's going to be a lower scoring game. Right. Although, folks, if you're thinking about going out there, when I drove in this morning, it's not raining. All right. Now it might have been raining for you, but I was here about 10 minutes later, and it has stopped raining.
Okay. Well,
So, you know, I would not, if you got those tickets, go to the game. I mean, it would be silly to sit there and put salt and pepper and put them on your sandwich, you know. But,
well, I might eat a ticket or two today, but yeah, we're certainly, of course, we're heading out there. We'll be all wrapped in plastic if necessary to sit through that. It's almost time for our college whip around and bring back Mason, the intern, and the wizard hat, because you got to have the wizard hat.
yeah, I got a couple best bets today, too. So I'll see what the wizard has to say. But I got 2 best bets today.
All right,
What we got, Wiz?
Mr. Wizard. The game I'm most interested in, because we've got family who went down to Alabama visiting Georgia. What do you have for that 3:30 SEC battle?
Well, it's going to be a game of the running backs. Derrick Henry for Alabama, Nick Chubb looking to tie Herschel Walker's 100-yard game record for Georgia.
So Alabama underdog for the first time in 78 games or so. Who do you got to that?
I think Georgia's going to win just because of Alabama's problems at the quarterback. I think Georgia's got Grayson Lambert from Virginia, transfers to Georgia. He's been great so far. Nick Chubb, as I said, 100-yard runner almost every game that he's played.
Yeah.
I just think Georgia's going to pull it out in the rainstorm.
All right. Do you have a special today, Bruce?
Yeah, and I like Alabama in that game. My 2 Big Ten games that are fairly important. Look for Iowa to upset Wisconsin today. All right. Iowa is able to stuff the run. Wisconsin is a 6.5-point favorite, and I not only would take the points, I would go for the outright win. I believe Iowa's going to win, and I think Northwestern is much better than we think. Okay, and I like Northwestern over Minnesota by more than the 4-point spread. Those are my 2 best bets for the day.
Undefeateds in the Big Ten. It's Indiana and Ohio State today.
Yeah, Indiana and Ohio State. I believe that game's in Indiana. I just see Ohio State finally showing up, getting it together, and blowing out Indiana.
So you think Indiana 4-0, bit overrated for that one?
Yeah, they've had a lot of luck.
Is that a day game?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
That's an interesting game.
Right. We'll see if Indiana's for real this time. Tonight, Notre Dame at Clemson and their 14 inches of rain. I'll let you go first. Notre Dame, we had actually picked Georgia Tech a couple of weeks ago. That both of us did. That didn't work out.
I must say with the Irish. I like, the Irish has been winning. The Irish has been playing great. And I'm going to stay with the Irish. Of course, that rain's a big factor, but you got to love what the coach has done there, coming in with that second-string quarterback, and just not missing a beat. And we were definitely wrong on that last game.
Didn't they lose 6 or 7 starters for the year, Mason?
Yeah, but Notre Dame always has a plethora of guys to fill in. They're not going to walk-ons. Let's put it like that.
Okay. So it's left. You got anything to add to our whip?
Yeah, West Virginia taking on Oklahoma today.
It's going to be fun to watch them lose.
Which them is them? West
Who else?
Virginia?
Who else?
West Virginia's going to lose that one? Who else you got?
And then at night, we have Ole Miss going to the Swamp against finally ranked again Florida.
Yeah, I'm going with Ole Miss in that one. Who do you have?
Ole Miss just looks great on the defensive side of the ball with the land sharp defense. They stuffed Alabama. I think they can stuff Florida.
Tough place to play in the Swamp, and decent quarterback, but now he's facing a real secondary. What's his name? Chad Kelly, I think is his name. And I like the home team in that, but I really don't know enough about it to give a real cogent response.
All right, we're last
about done,
minute
buddy.
here.
Please don't ask me to pick the winner today.
After what I've seen, and although I never do this, I actually think Michigan's going to win today. I just want Maryland to stay in the game and give it the effort that you expect out of your Terps. Mason?
I'm looking for Maryland to stay in the game, but at the end, the running attack for Michigan is just going to be too much. I think Michigan's going to win.
Yeah, I think it'll be maybe, I would take the 16. I think maybe 28-21, 28-17, something like that.
Right.
But you know what? The weather's a big factor. People are going to be slipping and sliding, and, we'll see what happens.
Thank goodness for field turf is all I have to add to that. This is Wayne Viener for Intern Mason. Bruce Posner. Catch us next on the Sports Maven. 9 o'clock on CBS Sports Radio 1300 in Baltimore. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're going to be going over to the TerpTalk page, click Listen Live, and we'll be back next Saturday talking Maryland and Ohio State at 8:30 right here. Thanks for watching.
All right. What time's that game next week?
Noon.
Is every